Alright, so I'm making this video to show you how to model this 3D printed part. We're going to do this in Onshape, and then at the end of the video I'll show you how to create a MakerBot 3D printer file out of the file that we make. So before we jump into this, I will give you this instructional guide of how to build it in case you'd rather read that and go through it step by step, but this video will kind of give you more of a in-depth step-by-step visual of how to create this, and we'll go over, especially if you're new to Onshape, all the different tools, or at least the ones we'll be using, and the feature tree over here. So let's get into this. If you go to the team's website, discotex.org, it'll take you here. Go to member resources, CAD training, and if you haven't created a student account yet, you can go here to Onshape registration. If you have, you can just go to onshape.com and log in. If you go here, it'll usually say up here something like create a student account or an educational account, and then you just fill it out over here. Once you do that, you can go to Onshape, and we get to our landing page. Now, if you're going to follow along with this video to create the model, I suggest maybe watching this video on a different device than what you are actually modeling on. Just to save you from having to jump between tab and tab as you're watching the video and creating your model. I also suggest whenever you are CADing to use a actual mouse, because a lot of the controls are based off of a computer mouse, and you have your right click, your scroll wheel, and all that stuff that I'll show you in a second, but it's kind of hard to do if you're on a laptop with a laptop keyboard and mouse pad or trackpad. So to start, let's create a new document and name it your name and just say 3D print. Then you can go ahead and create a public document. And then now we have our work studio here. Within our work studio, we have different things like the part studio and assembly, and you can add all different things like drawings and whatnot. But for right now, the scope of this video, we're only going to be working and worrying about our part studio. If you're completely new to Onshape or CADing in general, you have your toolbar up here, and these are all different features we can use and different tools. We have our feature tree, where you have anytime we use a feature or a sketch, it starts building up over here. And that way we can come back and track our history and edit things as we go. We also have our three main planes. You have your top, front, and right view. These little eyeballs here, you can hide it so that way they're out of your way. For now, we're just going to be drawing on the top view. I'm actually put this on for 1 second though while I'm showing you this. You also have your origin here. This is the center of your part. That's important to know because when you're drawing and you're building your design, you want to make sure that is at the center of your part. You don't want to be drawing out here. You want to be drawing centered over here. Now to move around in here, if you're using your mouse, you have your scroll wheel to zoom in and out. It's going to zoom in wherever your mouse is on the screen. So that's how I'm moving around like that. If you click your click your scroll wheel and you move while holding the wheel in, you can pan around. And to rotate, if you right click and hold while you move your mouse, it'll start to move your model. And you notice as I'm moving around, we have our cube up here that's moving as well. So you can also use the cube to view different orientations of your model. You can either use the arrow keys to move and rotate, or you can click on the different faces to get, this is an isometric view, or you can just get a 2D view. In CAD or in design, we call this a normal to view. So we're viewing normal to the front plane. So if I say normal to at all during the video, that's what I'm referring to. So that's kind of how you move around. And the controls, they're a little bit weird when you're first getting used to CADing, but it just takes a little practice, and eventually it kind of is a no-brainer and kind of like second nature just to move the model around. So to get started with our drawing, again, I'm going to refer to this document and kind of walk through this, we're going to start on the top plane and start drawing up there. So if you click on your top plane either from here or over here and click sketch, it's going to start a sketch. Now I'm actually going to show you one thing, because typically a lot of times I even forget to select the plane. What happens is if you just hit sketch, it's going to give you an error. This text is going to be red and it's going to want you to select a plane, and it'll kind of prompt it over here. So if you click on this blue box and then you click on the plane you want, it'll be okay, and then you can go ahead and continue. So now that we have our plane selected, we are going to start sketching. But whenever we're sketching, we want to really be looking at it 2D. So we're going to either rotate up a little bit and then click on the top over here, so that way it's nice and normal to our screen. And just to clean things up, I'm going to actually hide the planes over here. We'll keep the origin on, and you'll notice now we have a sketch plane here. That's going to go away when we exit our sketch. But this kind of also is a little reminder that we're in sketch mode. So let's start with making a rectangle. If you come up here to our rectangle tool, click on center point rectangle, because we want to draw it from the center. If you hover over and click the origin, now you can move your mouse out and we can just click anywhere to drop our rectangle. So we're going to dimension this now. So we're going to use our dimensioning tool here. And let's make this 4 inches by 1.75 inches. Now you notice how the lines went from blue to black. That means that this is a fully defined sketch. Whenever a sketch is not defined or has an undefined feature, it will be blue, and it's just kind of a reminder to make sure you fully define your sketch before you finish. Over here, we're going to actually add a fillet or a rounded corner. So we're going to use a sketch fillet. And then if you just click on 2 of the lines here that are perpendicular to each other, it'll automatically draw in this curve. So that's a fillet. So we're making basically rounded corners on this drawing. So we can change this, because right now it's giving a radius of 0.25. We want it to be 0.125. 0.125 is an eighth. 0.25 is obviously a quarter, so we want an 1/8 inch radius on that corner. And now we can click and repeat it to the other corners, and it's going to remember what we just did, so it's automatically going to update the radius there. So then I just kind of click off. See how on my icon here there's a green check mark on the left click button? You can just click out and space over here and it'll finish that command. So we're going to do all 4 corners. Cool. Alright, so now this sketch is done. So when we're done, we come up here to hit the green check mark. If you rotate around, you have a 2D sketch of the base of your part. So the next step, I'm going to hit top so that way we see the normal view of this. Next step is we are going to extrude this. So over here, this icon is your extrude button. We're going to click that. Again, we have a little bit of an error here. It wants to know what we are extruding. So if you click in that box and click on your sketch 1, or click on the body that we're going to be extruding, and it's automatically going to go to 1 inch, but we're going to change that to 0.125. And it automatically updates when you hit enter and you hit the green button. So now we have a 3-dimensional version of our sketch. So I'm going to click on top. Alright, so for this next part, we're going to make another sketch. We're going to click on this surface here, and we are going to hit the offset button. And if you just click on this surface, you'll notice it's trying to take this whole perimeter, all of these lines, and offset it in. And this is what we want. If for some reason it offsetted it outward, like this, you're just going to click on this arrow and it's going to flip it inward. So I'm going to click out here in the white space. Then I'm going to change this, instead of being a quarter, 0.25, I'm going to make it be 0.125. And now I'm going to hit, first I'm going to shut that feature off, the offset. I'm going to move, if you can click and drag your dimensions so that way they're not on your part like this, just so it's easier to see everything. It's always a good habit to move them off into the space out here. Now let's add some more fillets. These are also going to be 0.125. Okay, now this sketch is done. We can hit the green check. And we are going to extrude cut now. So to do that, we're going to hit the extrude button. And now you're going to move over here to where it says remove. Click on remove, and now we are going to select sketch 2. Now it's automatically populating this to 1 inch, but we're going to change that to 0.063. Then you can hit the green check. And now we have our cut down, or step down here. And it's starting to take shape. Alright, so for the next part, we are going to add our name. So we're going to click on a new sketch. Now it wants us to select the plane. We're going to make sure we select this surface, not just anywhere, because if you select up here on the perimeter, notice how everything is orange? That means it's going to select this surface up here. We want to make sure we're selecting down here because of the way we're going to extrude it up off of this surface to make the text all 3D looking. So click on that surface. Sorry, top right here. Now you can select your text icon and then just draw a box off here to the side. Don't draw it from here, because if you draw it from here, it's going to add extra relations to and constraints to the text. So we don't want to do that because I want to give it set dimensions. And you notice, see how I'm starting to try to draw it out here, and it's automatically making a horizontal line come out from the origin? If I start drawing here, this automatically has a relation there. So we're just going to try to draw it off to the corner up here, like that. Now you can type in your name, mess with the fonts if you will, and hit the green check mark. Just make sure this is school appropriate because these are being printed on the school's printers, and we want to make sure we're following the rules. So now we have this text box, and we don't want it to be completely center. We want it to be a little bit up here so we have room for the mounting holes, and we want to also make this larger. So what we're going to do is use our dimension tool, and you can click on this line on the side, just a single click, and then come over here to this vertical line and click over here. And if you click off to the side, you can change it to 0.125. Now it looks really tiny right now. We should have to dimension the other side so it'll stretch across the part. So zoom in, select the vertical line here, zoom out, and then select this line, the inner line here. And now if you click over here and change that to 0.125, that should stretch the text across, and that way it's centered, at least left to right. Now to make the height set, we're going to select the top line and go to the inner of the upper two ledges, so that line right there, and change that to 0.375. Now the text is black, so that means everything is set and defined. If you want to adjust anything and make this a little bit higher, maybe your text is, whatever you're writing here, your name, might be a little bit longer and it's a little cramped right now, you can change this to 0.25 and raise it up a little bit. Just don't make it larger than 0.375 because this is as low as you can go before you start cutting into where the holes are going to be put. All right, so now you hit your green check. We are going to hit our extrude button, select your sketch, and it wants to, by default, make this 1 inch. Instead, we are going to do 0.125 divided by 2. Because we only want to go half of the distance. So basically what we're doing is from the bottom to the top is 0.125. This plane over here is dead center. So we want to come up the rest of the way. So that way this text is up to this surface. But the cool thing here is these settings in Onshape, you can do math in them. So that way you don't have to take out a calculator. You can just do that. And this is also the same thing as 0.063. So, see, it automatically updates it. And I'm going to hit the green button. And now we have our text. And if we were to look from the side, it's level. It's not sticking out from this perimeter here. All right. Next step. So we're going to add the holes to the front. So click on the top surface. We're going to make a new sketch. And we are going to select this area right here. And we're going to start by making 2 circles. So you can select your circle over here. Make a circle somewhere over here, and then another one somewhere over here. They don't have to be perfect. We're going to fix that up later. Then you're going to go to your line tool and go from the center of this one to the center of that one. I'm going to hit the escape key. That's another kind of a very common key you're going to be using while using CAD software, is the escape key. Now we can click on this and turn it to construction line. So that way it's dashed and it won't try to extrude it when we go to do our cut later. We are going to select both of these. If you just click on that circle and that circle, we want to make them the same diameter. So we're going to give it a relation. Up here in the side, in the top bar I should say, there is a equal relation. See how that one resized? So these are both the same diameter. That also means that if I were to take my dimension tool and give one of these a new dimension, if I say 0.188, they're both going to resize to that. Now notice in this dimension there's a circle with a line through it. In design, that is the symbol for diameter. So what that's basically saying is the diameter of this circle is 0.188 inches. Just so you are aware of what that means. Alright, I want to give another relation to this line, but first let me click off of the dimensions. I want to select the construction line and come up here, and I want to make it just horizontal. Like that. So now we know that these 2 circles are completely in a straight line. Now what we want to do is throw in some dimensions to put these in the right spot. So we're going to click on our dimension tool. We're going to click on the center dot of this circle and go to the outer wall over here. Click down here, and that's going to be a 0.5. And then same on this side, from here to the outer wall will be 0.5. And it's still blue. That's because we haven't given this a height yet. You'll notice that if you're ever unsure, if you just click and move the blue feature around, it'll show you where it's still free floating. So let's give it a dimension. So that line to this line is going to be 0.375. Alright, everything is fully defined. We're going to hit the green check. Now we're going to hit extrude. And we are going to click on remove because we want to remove that material in there. If you select on the sketch we just made, sketch 4, it should go all the way through, but we can change this from blind to through all, just to make sure it goes through the whole part. Hit your green check, and now we have the holes. Alright, so now we want to just make the cutout for where our bar, our plasma cut bar, is going to go. So we're going to make a new sketch, but this time instead of clicking down here, I want to select the perimeter up here. So click on sketch, click on this corner or anywhere up on this upper surface because we want to be cutting up there. Then we are going to click on this box, this cube with the line. It's called project or convert. So if you click on that and select the outermost left bar or edge, it's going to pull that forward into this sketch and project it onto this sketch plane. You can do the same with your right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to draw two lines using our line tool from this side. Make sure the line turns orange over to this line. And then you're going to hit your escape key. And then you can click your line tool again. And we're going to do that as one more time. So now what we want to do is we want to trim these longer lines. So we're going to use our scissor tool up here, and you're going to click on that. That's the trim. And then you can just click and drag just like that. Be careful that you don't hit any of your other lines. But if you click and drag it over the line that you want to get rid of, it'll just cut away at that. Alright, so I'm going to turn that feature off. And let's make these horizontal. So I'm going to click on this line and this line. And it's already here. But if it's not, if you go to this pull down menu, you can select on horizontal. And that'll give it a relation, so that way it's horizontal. And let's dimension this. So we're going to take our dimension tool. Our lower line is going to be going from that line to the very bottom edge. And we want that to be 0.075. And now this upper line to the bottom edge is going to be 0.65. So now that we have our fully defined box, we're going to make a cutout. So we're going to hit the green check. And we're going to hit the extrude button. Remove. Select that sketch we just made, so you'll see that square. And again, it's going through the whole thing. We don't want to do that. We want to extrude down to 0.063. Hit the green check. And now we should have this little cutout for where the metal bar is going to go that we plasma cut. And the last step of the model, just to make it look a little bit more cosmetically pleasing, we're going to put a fillet on this inner surface here. Now, we were using sketch fillets before, which are 2D, but you can also add features to your 3D model. So there's a 3D fillet here. If you click on that, and then make sure you don't click on the upper one, click on the lower line here. It'll automatically fillet all of that area. And we can hit the green check. And now we have our part. Cool. So the next step is now to take this over to our 3D printing software. So to do that, we need to export it from Onshape into a file that we can bring into our MakerBot software. So you are going to hover over where it says Part Studio and right click and hit export. Give this a new name or the same name as your actual model. You can call it your name and then 3D print. You're going to want to make sure the format is STL. It's the last one in the list. That's the standard format for 3D printing. You can leave all of these the same. Make sure the units are in inches though. And for the option, you're going to make sure you select download. I think by default it'll say store in a new tab. So once you have all that, hit export. And now your file will be on your computer. Then you're going to go over to makerbot.com/3D-printers/cloud print. And you're going to create an account. You can just use your Google account at school and log in. Once you're logged in, you're going to go over here and select Start a New Print. So this is our standard MakerBot printer area. You're going to select your printer. We have, in the CAD lab, we have a sketch or 3 sketch printers. In the FAR machine shop, we have a couple of Replicator Pluses. But since we'll be printing this in the CAD lab, we're going to click on Sketch. So you want to make sure this says Sketch. And then you're going to hit Import. Once you hit Import and select your file, it should import into your area here. Now notice this is what it should look like. If for some reason you get a very tiny gray blob in the middle, that probably means the units are off. You can go over here to Settings, and then you want to make sure it's in inches. And what I meant by that is if it was in millimeters, it would look like that. And that's obviously not the right scale. So if we go back here to Settings, change it to inches, and then go to Save Settings, we should be good. If for some reason when it imports it's not laying flat, maybe it's doing something like that, we're going to want to make sure we correct that because we can't print like that. That's not the optimized way to print, and it's also probably fail in this orientation. So what we want to do is use these little buttons here. You can rotate it just to make sure you're laying flat like that on your printer space. And the one last thing I need you to do is make sure you go over here on the side, and when you're under print mode, where it says base layer, you're going to select the raft and select none. That way you don't have any support material underneath it, and we don't have to clean that up later. Sometimes you do want a raft on your parts, but for this type of part we don't need one. Alright, so now you have your print basically ready to go. We're going to select Print Preview. This is the part where it slices your model. Alright, and it shows that it will take 1 hour and 8 minutes. We're going to hit Export. And now we have a downloaded .makerbot file. So now what I want you to do is go over to our Slack channel, Onshape Tutorials. You're going to upload from your computer, and you're going to attach both your STL and your MakerBot print file here, and then just comment ready to print and send it.